the exception of sharks, snakes are probably the most misunderstood animals on the planet. With so much false information swirling around the internet, it can be hard to figure out what is actually the truth. That's why in today's video, we are going to be debunking some of the most common myths that you will hear about snakes. My name's Pierce LaValle, this is Pierce's Planet, stick around. Yo, what's going on everybody, and welcome back to the channel. I hope you all are doing amazing. I am here with my ball python, Penny, and we are here to talk about some common snake myths. Now I know for a lot of snake owners out there, myself included, we have like this love-hate relationship with these myths and misconceptions about snakes. We hate them because we know that it will shed a negative light on these animals that we love so much and could possibly cause people to judge them without actually understanding them first. But speaking for myself personally, I actually somewhat enjoy these myths a little bit just because it gives me a chance to educate people and to hopefully shed a positive light on these beautiful, beautiful animals. With that being said, let's not waste any more time and let's just jump straight into the list. Coming in at number 5 is a myth that surprisingly you hear quite often if you're a snake owner, and that is snakes are slimy. Now this myth is surprising to me because if you're someone who owns a snake, then you know that couldn't be farther from the truth. Unless you're owning like a water snake, your snakes don't feel slimy at all. They're actually very, very smooth, and for the most part, a lot of the times they're dry. I know snakes don't have legs, guys, but snakes are not worms, okay? Worms are slimy, snakes are not. Now granted, if you find a snake that was buried in some mud, then yeah, it might have a slimy feeling to it, but guaranteed, if you wash that mud off and let it dry, the snake will be dry and will be smooth. I guess in a way I could kind of see it just because snakes do in a way have like a certain shine to them, especially if you take them out into the sun. Their scales really reflect light really well and kind of gives them like a glimmering look in a way. But that's the only reason why I would think someone would think they're slimy. If you actually have ever felt a snake, they feel more like leather or like a basketball than they do slimy. But just because snakes don't have legs and they kind of look like worms with teeth does not make them worms. Worms are slimy, snakes are not. You don't look slimy. Let me see, do you taste slimy? No, you're good. Don't taste slimy at all. Okay, so coming in at number 4 on the list is a myth that I guess I could kind of see it a little bit. No, I can't see it at all. Snakes don't have bones. So basically, snakes are jellyfish.
I shall call him Squishy, and he shall be mine, and he shall be my Squishy.
That's basically what we're saying here. Snakes are jellyfish. They have no bones. They're fluid. They're an octopus. They're fluid. They can squeeze through tight corners and into crevices and cracks. Well, that's true. They can squeeze into crevices and cracks fairly easily, but they do have bones. Actually, snakes have a lot of bones. On average, snakes can have anywhere between 300 to 400 bones. Their whole back is just one big long spine with ribs connected to it. I don't know where this myth came from, and it's funny every time that I hear it because I just ask people, like, have you ever seen like an octopus like squeeze through something? Do you really think a snake can do that? Like, can a snake, like, no. Now, don't get me wrong. Snakes are extremely flexible, especially for the amount of bones that they have in their body. They can squeeze through really, really tight spaces that you didn't think they can get through. I've had plenty of snakes escape because of this. But you can see their spine on their back. Like, you can't see that ridge? That's a spine. Those are bones. If you have ever felt a snake, those are bones. You can feel their bones. So it's just funny to me every time that I hear it. But I can kind of see it. If you've never seen a snake in person or never been able to touch a snake or interact with a snake in person, then I guess that I could kind of see why you would get the impression that they don't have bones. But They do. And if you've ever seen a snake skeletons are awesome. They're some of the coolest skeletons that you could possibly see. And it really gives you an appreciation for these animals, for just how they can move without any damn arms and legs. That baffles me to this day still. It's just amazing. And because they have bones is the reason why you want to handle a snake, whether it's a small snake or a large snake, with care, because their bones are delicate and you can easily break a snake's rib bone or vertebrae by giving it whiplash by handling them too roughly. So with that being said, snakes are not in the cephalopod family and they are not jellyfish. Yes, they do have bones. Okay, so now we're about to start getting into some myths that honestly drive me crazy when I hear them. So let's just get into it. Number 3. Oh my God, that snake just chased me. What? Snakes don't chase people, okay? Let me repeat that. Snakes do not chase people. Snakes don't chase people for 2 reasons. Reason number 1 is a lot of snakes are ambush predators, okay? That means they're lazy. They don't want to waste their energy chasing things down. Well, they have no legs, they have no arms. How are they gonna chase something down? Now I get it. Some species of snakes will actively hunt and actually chase their prey down, but a lot of them, I would even say majority of them, they're ambush predators. They like to sit there and wait for an easy meal to catch it by surprise. And reason number 2 why snakes don't chase humans is probably the most obvious reason of them all. You are about 10 times bigger than 99% of all the snakes you are going to ever encounter in your life. Let me put this in perspective for you. A snake chasing you would be like you going out into like the African savannah and you see an elephant. Maybe you see 2 elephants, okay? Fully grown adult elephants. And you're naked. And you start sprinting towards that elephant. Why? Why would you do that? You are going to lose that fight with the elephant 20 times out of 10.
If you ever see me fighting in the forest with a grizzly bear, help the bear!
Yeah, I said 20 times out of 10. The elephant's gonna stomp you to the ground and then stomp you some more, okay? That would just be a stupid idea. Same thing goes for snakes. If my ball python started chasing me, if I was out in the wild and I encountered this snake, and it started chasing me, that snake is going to lose that fight every single time. Even if it's a venomous snake, it's still gonna lose, because even if it bit you and you might die later on down the road, guess what? That snake's gonna be dead before any of the effects set in for you. Well, I've seen it. My friend had a snake that slithered towards it. Yeah, in those situations, if a snake is slithering towards you, more times than not, it got spooked, it got startled, and just started slithering in a certain direction. And it just so happened to be the direction that you or your friend was in. It doesn't mean it was chasing you. I guarantee you, if you took 2 steps to the right or 2 steps to the left, that snake would have slithered right past you guys. It's not coming after you, I promise. That one triggers me a little bit because, you know, you hear it a lot as a snake keeper and it's funny, but that's the type of myth that gives snakes a bad name. And so, you know, it's important that we debunk those myths like that, because, you know, when you see a snake out in the wild, it should be a positive experience. It should be an experience you enjoy, not some traumatizing event that happened to you. So yeah, snakes don't chase you. Let's move on. Coming in at number 2 is actually really common misconception about snakes, and it's really important that we covered this one in this video, and that is that snakes will only grow to be as large as their cage allows them to. Now, snake keepers all over the world, I know we have heard this over and over and over again. And I'm not gonna lie with you guys. When I was a kid, when I first got into the hobby, this was actually a belief that I had as well.
You big cold-blooded dummy.
Now that I know better, it sounds funny saying it, but I can understand why people would have this misconception, because it's a very common misconception. Probably more common than a lot of people think. Snakes grow no matter what size their enclosure is. If you put a baby Burmese python in a 20-gallon enclosure and just leave it in there and you think that it's not gonna grow to be 15 feet just because it's in a 20-gallon enclosure, well, you're gonna have a really squished and probably really cranky Burmese python, because No, that's not how it works. Snakes grow continuously throughout their life. That's why they shed. Snakes will shed until they die. And even though their growth slows down as they get older, that doesn't mean that they've stopped growing. Now I get it. In terms of enclosure size, a lot of snakes don't need as big of an enclosure as you would think. You know, you could put a 15-foot Burmese python in an 8-foot enclosure. You can put a 7-foot snake in a 4-foot long enclosure. You can get away with that. But that doesn't mean that they're going to stop growing. Nothing's going to stop them from growing. Growth depends on, you know, their food source, how often they're getting fed, and other factors such as that. The cage, it doesn't factor in at all. Okay, and coming in at number 1, this myth is a trigger for me. I'm not gonna lie, it's a trigger for me. I work at a bar and I hear this myth at least once a week. And that is, one time my friend Snake sized him up.
And here we go.
You would not believe how many times I have heard this myth. And I'm sure other snake keepers feel my pain out there. So let me just put this out there and let me just settle this once and for all. Snakes do not size up their prey before eating it. Period. Snakes do not size up their prey before eating it. Like, it doesn't even make sense. Like, logically, it doesn't make sense. Like, imagine out in the wild, a 20-foot reticulated python. It sees a deer, so it creeps up next to it. And then, out in the open, just lays itself right next to that deer.
Right.
First of all, if the deer let the snake do that, then that deer deserves a Darwin Award because that is the stupidest deer in the world. And secondly, that doesn't make sense. Snakes don't do that. Snakes are ambush predators, okay? Snakes strike quick and fast and unexpected. The snake's not just gonna look up at the deer and just be like, hold on one second. Or a better example, our ancestors with their spears were out in the woods, right? And they were walking up, creeping, they see that deer. And what do? They just walk right up to it and just stand next to it and go, all right, you look like you're a good size to eat. That's not gonna happen. Their success rate would be 0 and humans would be extinct. That just doesn't make sense. As you can see, this one triggers me. But if you know snakes and if you have a chance to interact with snakes and feed snakes, then you would see how they actually eat. And how they actually eat is, like I've been saying since the beginning of this video, they are ambush predators. So they lie there and wait, you wiggle the rat in front of them, boom, and then they bite first and ask questions later. They'll figure out if they're able to eat that prey item after they've bit it and wrapped it up. If the prey item's too big for them, more than likely that prey item's gonna get away and that snake is going to end up letting go. Not to mention, humans aren't even on the menu for snakes. We don't taste good. Just like sharks don't think we taste good, snakes don't think we taste good, which is probably a benefit for us because if we don't taste good, that means nothing wants to eat us, which I'm okay with. And on top of that, there's only about 2 species of snakes that can eat a small adult human, and that would be the anaconda and the reticulated python. So the majority of snakes that you own aren't gonna size you up because they can't eat you anyways. They're way too small. You think Penny's gonna be sizing me up one day? No, she can't even eat my foot. So just remember, snakes are ambush predators, so if you see the snake coming, it's not coming after you. And if you don't see the snake coming, still probably not coming after you. So that is going to do it for today, you guys. I hope that you enjoyed the video. Look, I know there's a lot of misconceptions out there about snakes, but that's why I love doing videos like this, because a video like this gives me a chance to shed new light on these amazing animals. And if I can just change one person's opinion on how they view snakes, then I have done my job. Snakes can't talk. That's why it's our job to speak up and to try to change people's perspectives, because these animals are misunderstood and they really, really shouldn't be, because they are amazing. So were you guys as triggered by some of these myths as I was? Was there any myths that I should have put on the list that I didn't? Let me know down in the comments. Make sure that you guys like this video, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, and please, please, please share this video. Until next time, everybody, my name's Pierce LaValle. This is Penny. We are in Pierce's Planet. And remember, it's all about the reps, baby. Peace. Snakes along with sharks are probably in today's video. We are going to be done. Oh my god. With the exception to sharks, most common myths. With the exception of sharks, snakes are probably the Snakes are slimy because they're actually. Come on, Pierce, you can do this, dude.